Everyone, it's Kirei here with another layout for Bramble Fox, and for this layout I'm using two of the Perspective sets, the Spring Meadow Flowers set and the Family is Everything set, and I'm also using one of the Fox Cut new stencils. That one's the hexagon one, it's number 33, and you can see them just there to the left of the screen. Okay, so I'm using white cardstock as my background, and I'm using some marshmallow cardstock because I'm actually going to use some Distress Oxides with the Fox Cut hexagons. So what I'm going to do, they're going to basically form the background for my layout. I actually don't use any pattern papers at all. So I'm just taking 4 different Distress Oxides, and I'm just using one of the foam blending tools to add colour through the different sized hexagons on the stencil. And I'm going to create a vertical design down through the layout using 4 different colours and a number of the different sizes of the stencil. And the stencil is really versatile, actually. I mean, I've also used it, and you'll see it a bit later. I use it to as a template to cut out some hexagon shapes. You could draw through it and use it as a stitching template. So really quite a lot of ways that you can use your stencil. But I really like the effect that I got with the Distress Oxides through the stencil, just sort of building up as I went. So there you go. You can see the 4 colours that I've used, and I used Speckled Egg, Scattered Straw, Dried Marigold, and Kitsch Flamingo, the pink. Okay, I'm not going to show you me doing the whole lot of the Distress Oxides. There you go. It's now all done. You'll see what I've done. I've just created, as I said, a vertical layout down the page. And now I'm just actually adding some splatters in the various colours to each of the hexagons. So just adding a little bit of extra sort of detail. So just swiping each of the oxides onto my craft mat there on the right, just adding a little bit of water, and then splashing with a fine brush just to get a little bit of detail, not too much at all. I didn't want it to overpower it because I really liked how the hexagons looked once I'd finished them. And then I'm using the Pinkfresh Studio Happy Heart collection. It's one of the newest collections out. Really pretty, lots of lovely florals. So I'd actually matched up the colours that I've used here with the Pinkfresh Studio collection. So as I said, I didn't use it. Well, I say I didn't use any pattern paper. I do use one pattern paper to back my photo, but I don't actually use any other pattern papers to create any sort of, I guess, background. I use some of the coordinating accessories. So, I forgot. I did actually cut out some hexagons from one of the pattern papers. So totally getting it wrong. Okay, so I'm just picking out a couple of these patterns here from these small squares, but actually I don't end up using this side. I end up going with I think it's the other side of this paper, or is it another paper? Can't remember. But I go with a small floral in the end, and you can see that here. There's the hexagons that I've cut out using the Fox Cut Stencil. And I'm just I've added them on where I think they're going to go. And I'm now just taking my photo. I've used a black and white photo because it just worked better from a colour perspective. And I'm just picking out this sort of ombre looking pink pattern paper just to add a little bit of separation between the photo and the background, and just distressing the edges again, just to add a bit more texture and definition. And I'm going to stick down the hexagons, and I think all of the hexagons are stuck flat, and I've just distressed all the edges of each of the hexagons as well, and then just I'm going to sort of lift up the edges as well, just to create that sort of dimension. Because it's quite flat, the background, there's not too much on there. I just want to add dimension and sort of texture through some of the other elements that I'm using on the layout. So you can just see me sort of lifting the sides of each of the hexagons now. And then I think I'll get my photo stuck down once I've gone around all of the hexagons. And I'm just using the one photo, and I've worked out where I wanted it to go. So I'm just adding a little bit of foam, sticky back foam to the top of the photo only, and just leaving it flat on the bottom edge. Just making sure I've got that nice and straight before I stick that down. Yes, of course, I brought in the trusty T-square to make sure it is. And then I'm going to get the title down, which is the Our Tribe Perspective. It's in white, and it's from the Family is Everything set. And I made sure I had something that I could sit that on, because it's obviously white and I didn't want it to be on a white background. So I made sure I had the hexagon underneath to make sure that sort of showed through. Now I've picked out some of the floral ephemera, and I'm just fussy cutting around the edges, and there you go, I've done all of that. I've just really taken off some of the excess white, and I'm just sort of seeing where that sits. And now I'm bringing in some of those really pretty floral and butterfly perspectives from the Spring Meadow Flowers set. And I'm just sort of working out where they're going to go, but I'm going for a bit of a tone on tone effect, as you can see. So I'm just getting the those fussy cut ephemera pieces stuck down, and I'm starting to add in the perspectives, again using glossy accents to get them stuck. Gives a nice strong hold. Sort of working my way. Oh, I fussy cut a couple of butterflies. There's a really pretty pattern paper full of butterflies in the Pinkfresh Studio collection. So I just fussy cut a couple of those out, and I just stick them down on the center and bend up the leaves. Again, gives another piece of dimension. And now I'm just sort of deciding whether I'm going to add something on some of those plain hexagons, but I decide not to. I think that central one in the yellow and the orange at the top there, I don't add anything to. But I do add something. I think I do it off camera, actually. After I've sort of finished everything, I sort of went back and actually added some extra enamel dots, some sequins, and a couple of little word stickers actually again, and tried to keep to a sort of tone on tone effect down on the layout. So I think I'm almost there. There we go. So the final layout, I've added my journaling down on the right as well, and you can see now close-ups of each of those lovely perspectives. I hope you've enjoyed my process video, and I look forward to seeing you again in my next one. Thanks very much for watching.